Welcome to Smokin Bulls, the podcast about business, money, and lifestyle. I'm Tyler.
I'm Dave.
And today we're going to be speaking about how we got into this podcasting world. So, Dave, maybe tell me a little bit about what your primary business is and how you came into being interested in podcasting.
Well, definitely 28 years as an investment professional, portfolio manager, and I think over all those years you watch the way people get information out to their potential clients, things of that nature. You've been around a long time too, so I mean we started back in the day of cold calls and seminars and pizza nights and all sorts of stuff. So I think times changed, and like everybody else in the world, we found ourselves with a lot of time on our hands over the last year and not traveling to see our clients. So how else did we, do something in place of that? So that's the idea of podcast came up. Never really heard one until we started thinking about it.
That's true. When we started thinking about making a podcast, the big joke was, well, what podcasts do you guys follow? And we were like, we haven't really watched one before.
That was bad. Yeah.
So we found this as a way, I guess, just to really get in touch with our clients again, a way to stay in touch with our clients, and not just our clients, but try and just share some of the insights we have around our primary business, which is our investment and insurance planning business. And some of the work that we do for entrepreneurs is something that I think is unique and that we can kind of share on a larger platform. So podcasting became a fit for that.
Yeah. I think the big catalyst probably was the fact that we couldn't see our clients face to face. So, if we had decided to tell all of our clients that we travel to see, by the way, we're not coming to see anymore, we're going to do it by Zoom, how many clients would we have lost? So forced into it, Zoom became a big thing for us to do full-blown meetings that we weren't doing before, and that kind of morphed into, well, if we can talk to our clients from 1,000 kilometers away, why can't we talk to anybody 2,000, 3,000 kilometers away? So that's the podcast of sharing ideas.
Yeah, that was one thing that was great, was sometimes we've got to train our clients on the technology that we want to use in order to operate our business. This was one where they self-trained. Like if they wanted to talk to their neighbor down the street, they had to use Zoom or they had to use a video call
service.
Talk
to the grandkids.
Exactly. Whoever they wanted to get in touch with, they needed to embrace the new technology. So we're on board for that. So anyway, that's getting us to the podcast range, and we've chatted a bit about what our business looked like, our primary business before we got to podcasting. Obviously, it being the investment and wealth management side. How did you get into that investment side, the wealth management side?
Yeah, a long time ago. At a university, there wasn't a ton of jobs when I graduated. That was like 1992, and I wasn't the most studious of students, and my parents realized that, and so I think my mom, working at the federal government, she was in charge of doing retirement seminars and wellness seminars for the federal government. So they had different financial speakers come in to talk to the employees of the federal government. And so after my mom heard them talking, she managed to get me in front of some of them and to look at a career. And I don't think I could have done a normal 9-to-5 job. I probably wouldn't have lasted. So this became my career. And it takes a long time, I think, when you get rolling with it, to realize it is your career, or even surviving the first 2-3 years. You watch a lot of people start, and even from when I started, I think there's 10 people that started with me, and after 2 years there's 2 of us, and then it was kind of a stare down to who was going to drop next, but I think we survived. So that's how I got into it, and I just like the concept of, I think maybe more it was the concept of, there's a way to make money without working, so how do I get into that, and how do I find a way to create wealth, and it's morphed over the years because you got better educated, you became kind of a master of your profession over time.
Yes, I would agree. What really attracted me to that side of business, our primary business, was talking to my dad's financial planner way back when I had just graduated university and didn't know what I was going to do with myself. And my dad's financial planner at the time had spoken really highly of this career and the ability to use it as a way to create a recurring revenue stream and design your own business. So that got me into it, and he pointed me in the right direction of the additional education I needed to get, and away I went.
Think about it. You were becoming an entrepreneur without knowing.
That's right.
You chose the entrepreneurial way.
I had no idea and didn't really become an entrepreneur until many years later. For the longest time, you're just doing whatever business you can do in order to pay your bills, and you're really not running a business efficiently yet. Once you get a little further in, then you're starting to hire hire on staff to help do some of the tasks that aren't money-making tasks for you, and you slowly grow your business. So, I mean, you and I met back in 2007. That was when we met at a conference because we had this, in Banff. We had the same back office at the time, Professional Investment Services Canada. They no longer exist.
Biscan.
Yeah, Biscan. So they're long gone. But we met at that conference in 2007. Bit of background on us. That 2007 conference led to me renting some office space from Dave. We worked together in that same space for 3 years, together but separate. We didn't have combined practices. But after about 3 years of working together, we realized we're doing a lot of joint work. We work in a very similar manner.
And we were scaling. Just like a good entrepreneurs, you got to find your economies of scale, and we could share reception area, we could share meeting rooms, we could share marketing, we could share client events. So
it made sense at that point to just smash our practices together and go after it as a couple, as a business owners that can advance our practice more quickly together than we can apart.
Yeah.
So that's 14 years ago, I guess, and that's a long time. I've only known my wife for 15 years, so I barely know her longer than I've known you.
Maybe you should have met her before you met me.
I did meet her before I met you, but just barely.
Yeah. Ooh, she saved the day.
She did,
doesn't even know it.
Yeah. So, and that brings us all the way up to today. We've obviously been really successful in that partnership, and we've watched a lot of other partnerships in our careers and in our business. We've watched them blow up and fail. So we've been really lucky to succeed, and that's brought us to here, where we're always looking for new ways to advance our business and stay in contact with our clients and educate our clients, and that's what this platform is going to be used for.
If you think about that, I mean, just even your comment there about, since we're going to spend our podcast talking about entrepreneurs and growth of businesses and how to scale up and things of that nature, you think about how we got together, and then you're looking at others that we've seen that have failed. And I think, you got to look at some of the differences of the things that we did, and we were very, I would say, meticulous about the business plan and about the outs, and by outs, almost your business will, we decided to write down on paper, this is our agreement. This is if one of us leaves, this is if one of us passes away. We wrote our shareholders agreement, technically, if you want to call it, without really having a corporation at that time. And we wrote it all out ahead of time. And that would allow one of us to get out. And I think that's probably one of the things we'll talk about over and over throughout these podcasts, is the fact that most businesses don't have anything in place to deal with the failing of one of the partners, or you end up with that partner's spouse technically as your partner if something happens. So I think that's going to be something we touch on quite a bit.
I would agree, and I think one of the things that we did right out of the gates was we planned to fail. I mean, that's what you're referencing, and nobody plans to fail. Everybody comes out of the chute planning to succeed and shoot the lights out, and that's our hope. But we had to lay the groundwork for if there was failure, if there was a falling out between us, or if one of us weren't able to work, what were the out clauses? How did we separate our businesses? And that's no fun to plan like that. I remember working through those stages. But man, I think by getting that right and knowing what could go wrong at the outset was helpful in making sure that we were on the same page going forward.
Still easier than writing up a prenup.
Yeah.
It was virtually the same thing, but for business. But
okay, so that gets us to through our careers and what we've done to get to where we are today. What's outside of work, because we've already talked about being an entrepreneur sometimes gives you the ability to have some free time in your schedule and different sections of free time that maybe a normal employee wouldn't have. So where you can take bulk periods of time off, or where you can align your day in such a way that you can do some neat activities. So what's some of the fun stuff that you get into when you're in your free time?
Yeah, I think obviously, the growth of our businesses over the years has kind of provided us with the ability, and talking once again, the technology, being able to work from afar in different situations. I don't think no matter what I do with my free time, you're still kind of tied into this all the time. And you have to set some time aside to work on those things, and you have to kind of mix them together with pleasure. And a lot of people, there's a lot of talk about don't bring your work home, or when you go on holidays, turn your phones off, all that. And I've never found that to work for me. Partially, I think some of that's if you have a much more stressful job than what we have. I love coming to work every day, and I love the job what we do, and I love the way it's set up. So I don't feel like I have to go away and turn my phone off. I want to stay on top of it, and it doesn't really ruin a day for me. So, spend my time have a summer cottage in Ontario, and I can go work there for 2 months, and I can still accomplish as many calls and as many meetings as I do right now from there. Probably the best thing that is it's 2 hours ahead of this time, so by the time I settle in, I can actually call my clients before 9 o'clock, and they probably wonder what the heck I'm doing, So it's I picked up 2 hours on the other side, so I get a lot of my work done before noon, which is awesome. And then can enjoy the time with the family, and that's what we do. Soak up the sun, and and then there's the normal, the holidays, the trips, and lots of golf. If I can get as many golf rounds in as I can, so.
Yeah, I told my wife. She said, "What are your resolutions this year in January?" And I never do like New Year's resolutions. And I said, "My resolution this year is to play more golf." And she's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Why can't a resolution be something fun? Why does a resolution always have to be, I want to work out more, I got to lose weight, or I got to change my eating habits, or whatever it might be?" I was like, "No, I need to get more golf games in this year." It was pretty weak last year. They had COVID-19 shut down my men's league, so I didn't get to golf as much. I'm a golfer as well. Probably don't get nearly as many rounds in as you do, but maybe this year that's my resolution.
I think it works. It's my only resolution that ever comes true.
Hey, well, you see, I
haven't knocked the weight off, but I sure golf a lot more.
Yeah, so that's one of mine, I guess, and one of the things I enjoy to do. I wanted to go back to one of the comments you made about our job's not that stressful, and I would agree. I don't find a lot of stress in our job, but I don't want you to diminish, or I don't think we should diminish the work that comes with our career and the business that we've created. I think if you plugged somebody else into our business, their stress would go through the roof. And I think because we enjoy our business and we enjoy our clients and we enjoy the work that we do, our stress level's less. So we I think are really lucky in that sense that we picked a career that we're happy with. Whereas if somebody wasn't happy in their career, they're probably super stressed. It doesn't matter what it is that they're doing. So
it's how we manage our clients too. I think it took us a lot of years to get to that stage where we're discretionary money managers. We manage the portfolios. We've picked the way we run money. That's the most effective, we think, for our clients. But at the same time, never in my career did I ever want to go home and worry that we've set something up that's gonna. That I don't want those phone calls every morning from clients. And occasionally you get those. You're never going to get away from that. But when the markets go up and down, which they always will do, we don't have that barrage of phone calls and then nothing, barrage of phone calls and then nothing. And I think that's testament to how we've structured everything. And I think it had to be structured that way, or I probably wouldn't have survived in the business anyways. I don't want to go home at night and worry about, have we done something wrong? We shouldn't have done that with that client, because if this goes this way and it blows up, that client's out of money or bankrupt or, destitute. That was never the structure and the plan. So I think I guess when I said there's no stress in our job, I think it's because we've designed it that way to get it to the point that as long as we're following what we do in our setup and we keep working with our clients the way we do, we don't have that.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, it's the things that we try to avoid, which helps us avoid our stress. And there's a lot of guys in our industry who do choose those paths, and I guess that's what they enjoy to do with their business, but not for us. So you travel to the cottage in the summers, golf in the summers. Do you do anything in the winter or just hibernate?
Yeah, hibernate. I think with the cold winters we have here in Alberta, sometimes you do hibernate, but it's go somewhere warm if I can, like everybody else. With kind of children that are older, it's we can disappear without the kids sometimes, so it's a lot easier than to pick a place to go and not have to worry as much about having to find someone to take care of your kids. Well, I guess in my situation with older kids and a younger child, we just make the older kids watch the younger child when we go away, so we're pretty much good to go anytime. So yeah, I love traveling. I mean, it's great to see other places. It is I think everybody missed it this year in a sense when you think about sometimes just kicking back. Julie gets mad at me sometimes because we're going on vacation and I don't watch TV, but I'll plop down on the couch with the remote control, and 5 hours later she's like, we're on vacation. Like, let's go do something. I go, I am. I'm just totally relaxed now, type thing. So yeah. I could just sit and do nothing on a vacation. And as long as I'm close to a pool and some ice cubes, I guess I'm all right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we all missed our vacations this year, and we do the same thing in the winters. We started skiing a bit this year. My family's a bit younger, right? So I've got a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old, so we can't escape them that easily yet. But we bring them with when we go on vacations. And this year, it's been skiing, snowboarding, a little bit of snowmobiling. We've got a couple of snow machines now, and that was, we live on an acreage, so we get to do that stuff. And so that kept us busy through the winter, and otherwise my summers are camping. We've got an RV that we pull around all over the place, and the kids love that. That's how I grew up. We went RVing all the time in the summers.
You all booked for the summer? Because
I booked one.
Find a site.
Yeah, no, I booked one so far, and we were trying to get an extended 2-week stay. And they were booked up. The most they could give me was 5 days, but the campsite's got pools there, hot tubs, horse riding, pens for the kids, playgrounds. It's got a launching
pens for the kids?
Pens for the kids, yeah, absolutely.
Jeez.
Throw them in there.
A high fence.
Playgrounds for the kids. And then they've got ATV trails right at the campsite that go into the mountains. So you could bring your machines with you if you want. Yeah, and then just drop everything right there and take off. So that's the fun stuff, I guess, that we get to do, or some of the fun stuff that we get to do. And
I guess that's, in a way, what we're going to talk about. You can talk about money and entrepreneurship and businesses so much. What happens when you've worked really hard over the years? These are the things that you and I are starting to do. When we talk about other entrepreneurs and their life, we want to talk about the lifestyle. Let's face it, when you start out as an entrepreneur, you're going to work a lot of years with nothing, and potentially you're going to fail. But you're after that win that provides you the time and the luxury to do a lot of things. So, a lot of times the lifestyle of entrepreneurs are envious to others, perhaps, but it lets those people really pursue avocations that they really love. And sometimes those are a little weird compared to the average bear, but I think we're going to spend some time talking about some of those things too. When we talk with our guests, we might talk business, we might talk stock markets, we might talk structure of their world, but we're also going to talk about what they really like to do with their spare time. Some of them might say their business, so who knows, right?
Yeah, you're right. And I think that'll be the fun side of this podcast, is not just learning about the strategies that we use in our primary business, but learning about what entrepreneurs get to do for fun. And it could be anything. I mean, you always reference fly fishing. I mean, I don't fly fish.
I don't either.
I'll get somebody in here who wants to talk about fly fishing. Let's learn about it. Maybe it's fun and it's something we want to organize and get a guys trip together and do that. Yeah. So, we know what we like to do for fun. We want to learn about what other guys are doing for fun, and encourage our viewers to, jump on board and share with us what they're doing for fun.
Maybe they want to tell us what they do for fun. I mean, there's all sorts of things we could probably learn.
Yeah, we can learn all sorts and include that in our podcast and roll with it. So we also plan to do some, I guess, what would you call it? We don't really have a name for it yet, but current events type conversations, topic of the day, trending topics. Yeah,
sure.
So we'll chat about what's latest in the news. I mean, who knows what's blowing up that day? Previously, it might have been GameStop stock going through the roof and going crazy, and that being driven up by a group buying pattern. And we chat about that and share our insights on it. So it's really just going to be a open conversation on those topics that we dive into.
Yeah.
We wanted to do some webinars. So you mentioned a way that we used to grow our business was the old-fashioned way of doing seminars, and then you narrow down the field of people in your crowd, and you end up getting a client out of it. But our webinars are probably going to be based on initially our business, our primary business in the wealth management arena, and we'll teach people about, doesn't matter what the concept is, we've got a million of them, whether it be as simple as RSP planning to more complicated like individual pension plans or insured retirement strategies. We're going to talk about those types of concepts, and we'll do a webinar on each thing, and it'll be a series of webinars that we can then share with our viewers, with our clients.
Yeah, you'll find it on our site.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
SmokinBulls.com.
Create a library of stuff on there. Yeah, so that'll be our other topics.
What we're going to try and tie in is kind of not entrepreneur of the day, but maybe we'll talk to some successful entrepreneurs, maybe some people in the middle of their entrepreneurial journey, and have them in and really do a deep dive. That might be the hard part, is finding someone who's willing to disclose the questions we want to ask. But I think getting them in here and talking about how they became successful, or how they think they're going to become more successful, how they've structured their business. And I think the best that is going to come out of this for the listeners and for the people we're going to talk to is, we have all the tools to help these individuals. But I think, as we talked about, when it comes to like shareholders agreements and having insurance on your business partner, all those things, I think we'll find that most people don't have a lot of this in place. And so I think when we're talking about someone specific. Hopefully they're good to hear some of the things we might throw at them. It'd be great to see and hear from people who are set up well, because, I mean, let's face it, you and I have been around a long time, but it's great to hear different strategies perhaps too. Maybe we haven't thought of something that we think we know, and we should always keep an open mind from that side of it. But I think, Entrepreneur of the Month or whatever, I mean, it's not going to be like the McDonald's wall or whatever we put the picture. Maybe we'll fill the back wall here with people the entrepreneurs we've talked to.
Yeah, we were wondering how to decorate this place. Maybe that's a good way to do it. I think some of our other guests that we want to get on are people specific to our business as well. So there's some really unique experts in the financial industry that most people don't have access to. These guys are sometimes people that you would see on BNN interviewed there, and hopefully we're going to get that kind of access to them. Sometimes just with our primary business being the investment business and being somewhat successful there, we've got access to some of those guys, and we've already expressed some interest or had people express interest back to us that they wouldn't mind appearing on the podcast. Sure. So that'll be cool, and we can get some of those bigger names than people that are just here in our local community and have them on to chat about what their strategies are.
Of both of them. And I think even some of those who would appear on BNN or you might see on there, I think they like talking about something a little bit more, what's the word? Not just a specific to the questioning that they're handling on BNN. They want to talk maybe fly fishing, you know what I mean? Like they're going to want to talk about how it ties into entrepreneurship, instead of just a specialized view that they're sharing on a regular basis. So we're going to give them the chance to open up a bit and talk about anything financial or business or entrepreneurial. That's the key for the people we want to bring in.
And lifestyle too, like you said. I'd be interested to hear the lifestyle of some of these guys and see what they do outside of the stuff they do in front of their computer screen every day. So let's talk about today's smoking topic. Today's smoking topic about what people expect after COVID is wrapped up, and the vaccines have rolled out, and people are getting back to work, stores, restaurants, movie theaters, airlines, everything's opening back up, and we're back to life as normal or whatever that new normal looks like. Mm-hmm. What do you think that's going to look like?
Well, obviously I think there's 9 million opinions on things like this. I think I'll focus more on a comment about when it's truly kind of open, not this partial or it's never going to open, will never be the same. I'm not going to go with any of those type of things. I'm just going to go with the fact that a lot of people locked up for a long time. A lot of money was being stashed and saved. As much as people think, the economic times are a bit tough for this year, I think it was for a lot of people, but for a lot of other people, they've pocketed tons of money. How many people have airline credits, flight credits, maybe hotel credits? So I think we're going to see a big push on people traveling and doing things that maybe they would have done normally, but I also think we're going to see some people who are going to start doing things that they normally wouldn't do because they were afraid that maybe they won't get a chance to do them. So the sheer volume of people, I think, joining in on some leisure things that are not the leisure things of last year. I mean, last year the leisure things were, having a look at their cardboard boxes in the basement to find out what baseball cards they had, those type of things. So I think you're going to see people, and there's going to be great competition for seats on a plane and competition for spots at a resort. I think prices are going to go through the roof. I mean, let's face it, airlines haven't made any money, nor have hotels and other leisure operators. So I would expect your average flight is going to be, 1.5 to 2 times the price you would normally pay. So
those are probably pretty accurate comments. I mean, you're right, that industry's been shut down, but it's not the only one. So, I would think even locally in your own communities, restaurants, local gym memberships, all that stuff will increase in price just to try and recoup the complete shutdown of their business for a year. And although governments around the world have helped, those types of businesses, not to the extent that business would have been doing on its own. So yeah, everything's going to ramp back up. And I'd read some comments, and it was talking about the recovery after COVID, and that recovery isn't like a normal recovery after a recession or something like that. This recovery is a global recovery. And the last time we've really seen, a global economy shut down is after a world war. there's really no times that an economy, the world economy, actually shuts down. So there's people out there.
Well, the Great Depression, maybe.
Right, and what brought that out was the World War II happening and that ramp up. But shutting down for a war so that all of your efforts go into that wartime activity and then reopening after that is what I've read is what we're going to experience after this. That our economies aren't going to only recover and get back to where they are, but they're going to rip. Yeah. So. That's exciting, I guess, but it's also somewhat worrisome because the inflation of products around you, whether it be going to your local restaurant, traveling to your favorite destination, all those prices are all going to probably rise.
But some of them have already.
Oh yeah, and with that, everything else rises around it. So your markets are gonna rip, and your real estate market is gonna rip. We're already starting to see evidence of that. So, as COVID continues to play itself out and the vaccine continues to roll out, we're gonna continue to recover in such a way that we've never seen before. So,
everybody back to their offices?
Good question. I think there's going to be a lot of people that probably stay home. I think there's going to be a lot of businesses that take a look at how they've designed their operation and realize that they can be just as effective having some people working from home. What does that mean to the commercial real estate market? I don't know.
I think that's a real tough one. I mean, as much as COVID is over, everybody's vaccinated and off everybody goes, are people going to still wear masks, or is that going to be something we're going to keep wearing? Are people going to shake hands anymore? Are people going to ride an elevator with you? And that's part of getting people up and down elevators in big cities with office towers and condos, and who wants to ride that anymore? Are those real estate markets going to be hurt by this in the long term? Who knows? I mean, you're seeing a lot of migration, and you see it in the real estate numbers to suburban. For the outer parts of the city, people want a bigger backyard, more space, more rooms, and to hide from each other. I don't know, things like that. I think that continues on for quite some time. But I think from the business point of view, like you said, there's going to be just so much activity. I mean, how many small businesses, how many entrepreneurs went under because of this? So the question is, do they resurface, or are they done with the game? Are you going to have some people who see the holes in the market and are able to ramp up businesses that got shut down? Some of those smaller type businesses that's, you look at strip malls and all sorts of places, there's, for sale signs, lease signs. Are you going to see a bunch of people jump into the entrepreneurial spirit and fill that void and to provide that service? It'll be interesting. I'm not sure how fast people are going to want to commit a large chunk of money. Even though, the belief is that things will expand and good times are ahead, it's a risk, right?
Yeah, I think with the people get that fear of missing out, I think too, when situations are everything's rising so quickly. So I think you will have entrepreneurs come back and want to fill that void. You're right, it's a risk to be an entrepreneur, but that's always there. It's always a risk to be an entrepreneur. And I think the people out there who are entrepreneurial driven, who would be in that role, are going to be in that role no matter what. So they're probably going to come back and spot their opportunities and see where they can add their 2 cents and make a profit from it. So,
do you think there'll be enough people who are not entrepreneurs as of yet who are going to jump in and fill the void for those people who were the entrepreneurs who said, I'm too close to retirement, or I'm not going back into this? Are we going to lose? Are we going to have a net loss of small businesses and entrepreneurs a year from now, or are we going to be recovering and surge ahead? I just wonder. I think if you've been an entrepreneur for quite some time, you were within the reach of retirement, you lost a chunk of money here. How hard of work it is how much work you have to put in to build that business. Do you want to get started? Do you want to jump in again? I guess if it's in the same type of business that you're used to, maybe your ability to get rolling again is a lot quicker than someone who's new. I just wonder if people are going to get scared away. The fact that you can run a successful business for a lot of years, and then within 1 year, something out of your control can wipe you out.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, that's for sure. If a guy goes into it thinking like that, I think part of the way we view things is from a more seasoned, more mature business. And when you look back to how we started our own businesses, you look back and go, man, I don't want to do that again. I don't think I could do that again. And it's because we know how hard it was, but ignorance is sometimes bliss, as they say. And if you're getting in at the start, you don't know the uphill struggle that you're going to have, and you're going to do it and make it work. So
craft dinner days is what we call them.
Craft dinner.
Can you craft dinner for 3 years straight to know that, and it's not an automatic, but to have someone tell you maybe you'll make $100,000 a year in year 4, but you're going to basically eat nothing for 3 years.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, well, I could do that, but there's not a lot of people who do it. You got
to start at the right time too. I know when I started, I had no commitments. I mean, I was renting my apartment downtown. I had no family, like besides my immediate family. I wasn't married. I didn't have kids. If you're trying to start a business and that's what you have hanging over you already, that's going to be a real slug to try and develop your business. So I think the entrepreneurs coming in might be people, young starting professionals or people in their fields that are going to jump in and do it because they can afford those lean years.
Yeah. Well, I remember from the time when I was a manager in a financial services firm and we were hiring new advisors and new potential advisors, the big things back then were, the 3 reasons you would fail were failure to not get your point across, or failure to get your point across, sorry. Not having any backup, as in you came into it with no money, per se. And then the third would be basically, no support. So if you're married, or you've got a family to support, they might be unwilling to let that happen. If you're not successful quick enough, guess what? They're going to say you got to quit. You got to find something else, and that's the thing. You have to stick it out. Success takes time, and I think that's a big thing that I worry about in this bounce back from COVID is whether people have the same tenacity to wait it out to be successful instead of expecting to be successful. And I guess I'm showing my age a bit because, I think when I chat with my kids, I guess I won't point one out. I might pluralize this. It's the sense of you just believe it. And you wish that you want it to happen for yourself, it happens. And I'm always, I'm not sure how successful that is, but maybe it is. Maybe I'm just old school.
Maybe you are, or maybe definitely you are. I don't know.
Lightning, Woody.
Thanks for tuning in to Smokin Bulls, the podcast about business, money, and lifestyle. If you enjoyed what you saw today, check us out on our social media platforms and at our website, smokinbulls.com.